Here we are. Makluli, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, David. Hi, everyone, and welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practice. The format here is pretty simple. You ask questions either by submitting them over email during the week, or you can submit them in chat here, and we simply answer those questions. And our goal is pretty simple. We want to help you build a better, more satisfying consulting business for yourself. I'm here with my colleague, David A. Fields. My name is Mahlili Dube. Hey, David, how are you doing?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm enjoying the winter wonderland as our Connecticut office.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So everybody, please post your questions in the chat, and we have a few questions to get us going here. Jaron, can you please post the first question? Okay, David, I'll let you take this question. Our first question is from Colette. She's asking about a question about a former client. Here it goes, David. A former client is leaving her company and starting a new, more senior role at a new place. Any suggestions for how to position an engagement that focuses on her first 100 days, not revenue driving in short term, including how to frame and define value? We have a very strong relationship, but she will be new, so not sure what type of budget she'll have initially, etc. David, what do you think?
Okay, very good. And good morning, Colette. This is your question from last week, I think. And good morning, Robin and Dan and John and all of you. Say good morning. Remember to pitch in, chime in. Okay, Colette, so you've got a great relationship. Someone is moving to a new position. That's outstanding. It allows you to follow the path we call go follow or go after, which means when one of your clients moves to another organization, you can follow them there. You can go after them. So that's excellent. The first thing to do, also, this is a really good question because it has broader implications. It's around this whole idea of how do you stay right side up, and at the same time, perhaps suggest something that you see a client needs. So first, stay right side up, be congratulatory, be supportive, say how wonderful it is that she has this new engagement, and understand that she may not want help. Okay, so you do have to keep that in mind. But that said, I think what you can do is you can tell her that the first 100 days make a big difference for any executive. So make it about her and make it about the first 100 days being important, which is true. And I think most executives recognize that. And then you could mention that you have a lot of experience pulling together 100-day plans that make executives more successful, and ask whether she'd like to discuss that and look for help in moving forward. So you don't actually need to frame the value. You just frame it by saying first 100 days are really important. We're pretty good at this. If that's something you'd like to discuss, we may be able to help you really knock it out of the park this first 100 days. And that's that. I don't think it's more complex than that. Mahlili, what do you think? Did I miss something? Would you characterize it differently?
No, I think you're spot on there, David. It's that staying right side up, understanding that she may need time to get her feet under the table. She doesn't know the full universe of things that she has to problem solve for, and letting her almost come to you with her problem set and suggesting the things that you maybe will be able to help her with. So what's the most important piece is coming in with just that right side up mindset. Does that help?
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So Michael, I see you're posting a question. Unless I'm mistaken, Jaron, that's the next one you have in our queue, because we have a bunch from last week and that came in during the week queued up. Jaron, there we go. Right. That's what I see you posting. Michael, and then John, I see you have a question. We'll get to that. So we will pound through these as quickly as possible. So you said, if you're told up front that a client has a significant toxic environment, especially 2 of the 3 people at high level that you would be working directly with, is it okay to turn down the position if you are also told this is a PM role, not a functional consultant role? And you have the big interview tomorrow. So Michael, we're answering it today. Your practice is fairly new. This opportunity is through a high growth firm that already has consultants at the client, which means you are subcontracting. They're the prime. And you're worried about burning bridges with the firm that wants to use you. All right, Mahlili, what do you think of this situation? What's your advice to Michael, who's right here? This is the best.
Okay, so Michael, the situation here is pretty simple. The beauty about for any consulting firm, if you're the owner, is that you can basically say no to projects that you don't want to work on, right? So you always have that option. And it sounds like what you're most concerned about is your relationship with the prime. So what we need to really focus on is how we separate your relationship with the prime to your to whether you're successful with this engagement. So how do we do that effectively? Well, first of all, I'll suggest taking the advice. Don't no hubris. Take the advice of the people who are saying the environment is toxic, but perhaps consider observation, going into the client and learning more that you now have this data set, right? You're coming in equipped into this client engagement with this data set and trying to deliver on this project. That would be the first place, because we believe in observation, right? Different people say different things and have different opinions on it. Yep. If you find that it's truly not working out, you can bring it back up to the prime and say, hey, I've been working with this client and it seems like it's really not working out. What's important at the front end is to have that very clear context discussion so that you have clear parameters for what success is. And so you also know when sometimes to pull back and say, this is clearly not working out. That's the first part. And the conversation now with the prime should be simply one that is right side up. If it's not working out, hi, I know that you put me up for this project. It's simply not working out for these specific reasons that are tied to the things we discussed in our context discussion. I respectfully would like to bow out. What do you think? What do you think we could do to solve for these? And you can always step away and say no. David, over to you. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I agree. As you said, beauty of having your own practice is you can say no to any project or client. And as you become more established, saying no to one creates more opportunities. It doesn't really shut down opportunities. I agree that I think if first of all, you could go in as Makhlouli described and give the project a try. If you say no, I don't think you're likely to burn bridges if you follow Makhlouli's advice, which is just to talk to the prime and say, I love the relationship, want to keep doing work, just not this particular project. I think you're okay. Robin, a PM is project manager, unless I've got that wrong, in which case Michael will correct us because he's here also. But that's usually what the PM role is, a project management role, as opposed to you're bringing deep functional expertise or industry expertise. And Colette, glad the other question or answer was validating. And I know we've got more in there. Jaron, you keep putting them up. I'll do the next one. You can read it, Makhlouli.
Okay, perfect. So this question is coming from Todd.
I remember this.
Simple question. Yeah. Typically, how long should a new consultant expect to take for their business to generate low to mid six-figure income? My solo consulting firm will serve the architecture, engineering, construction industry, if that matters to the answer.
I remember this now from last week. Yeah, so how long does it take to build from 0 to 6 figures? About a week. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, of course. Yes, it depends. And however, I'll give you some rules of thumb. For a solo, because you're a solo, if you have impact, if you have figured out where you should be fishing, meaning the right problem and the right solution, by 18 months to 2 years, you should be low, mid six figures. Now, if you're not there, I don't want you to get frustrated and upset and all of that, because there could be a lot of things in the way. And there were a couple big ifs in there. What drives your consulting, the size of your consulting practice more than anything, is impact, without a doubt. Firms that do a lot of business are playing in worlds where there are big problems that a lot of people have and urgently want to solve. So that's the primary driver, is you're in the right market. And then another driver is your network core. So another part of impact is you're able to talk to the right people. You can access the right people. So if you have connections with a lot of people that are having a problem urgently that you can solve, you can pretty quickly build a practice. We've helped firms build from 0 to well into 8 figures in 2 years. Those are firms, they're a little larger, but they're playing in the right spaces. If you play in the right space as a solo, you can absolutely get to that low mid 6-figure range in a couple of years. And if you are struggling, well, first of all, you should come to us because we can help. But take a look at your impact, because that's most likely where the challenge is. Them's my thoughts. Makhlouli, anything contrary, or are you good with that one?
No, I think we're good with that one. Yes.
All right, cool. Good Robin. And yes, Michael, you'll let us know whether that helps, or whoever. I don't remember who asked that one. Let's put the next one up because I want to get this one. And I want to see if we can get to John's question.
Right.
You say in the book that differentiation is not as important as looking for a solution they can rely on. That's true. Practically, how do you demonstrate that or present that when you are a startup and do not have a long-term history of reliability? All right, say Michael. New answer. Makhlouli, what do you think?
Okay, Michael, you're absolutely right. Differentiation doesn't really matter because if you start to play the differentiation game, Michael, it's really about you and other firms, and really the stakeholder entity missing there is the client, right? We always want to keep the client at the center. So what do we mean? We mean simply stay right side up in how you look at the world. Now, how do you position yourself as credible when you're going out there into the world? There are two things basically that you can do. Number one is you can draw from your own experience. Assuming that you're setting up a consulting firm anew where you have subject matter expertise and experience, you can speak to your experiences from the past and bring them as creds into your new firm, right? And that will automatically give you credibility. You can also borrow credibility from the people that you're bringing in to support your new firm, right? Who might be subject matter experts in particular areas. If you do those two things, you will automatically have credibility. One last quick point about how building credibility, that's very important and tied to being right side up, Michael, is that just showing the ability to listen without a preconceived answer is the ultimate hack to being right side up when somebody asks you a question. There are a bunch of other firms out there that have solutions and tools and diagnostics. Your ability to stay focused on your client and on that firm is actually the greatest unlock that you can have in that conversation, in addition to those other 2 points. What do you think, David?
I agree with you. What he said.
Well, that's great.
He said, there, what he said. Okay? Yeah, perfect. I agree with that. Let's get to John's question. John had a question. I see Robin has a question. Robin, we're going to get to yours next week, I think. John, you said, what suggestions do you have for moving from a time-limited consulting engagement to a retainer-based relationship once the initial engagement is over? Okay, I'm going to tackle this first, Makhlouli. You can chime in. First of all, we have to just do a little bit of semantics. I assume what you mean is you have a project. You're currently in a project engagement, so it has an end. Hopefully, it's not based on just time, but maybe it is. But it's based on the project ending because you've reached the conclusion of the project, and you want to get into an ongoing advisory relationship, which we would call a stipend, not a retainer. I'm not going to go into why. So correct me if I'm wrong, John. And I have 2 points for you on this. One, you don't wait until the initial engagement is over to start talking about the next engagement. That's the wrong time. You start talking about the next engagement while you are already in the client. That's the best time to do it. And don't lead with contract structure. That the form of your contract will follow the function of the engagement. If it's an ongoing advisory role that's required, then the best contract structure for that is usually some sort of stipend or ongoing. Perhaps you set it up quarterly or annually or monthly, something like that. That structure works. If the best next step for the client is to solve a certain issue and there's a fixed outcome, then you should have a fixed engagement. So we might need to, you can clarify that if we have it wrong, and we can go into it more next week. But that's the starting point for that. And Makhlouli, I'm not going to let you chime in because I'm sensitive to the fact that my clock right here says we've hit our time.
That's right.
I want to thank great questions this week. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for being here for 15 minutes with us. A few announcements. One that's a little bit different than you typically see, which is the consulting firm index is now open. If you have a consulting practice over $1 million, please join this survey. It is a great survey. The cost to join is nominal. It's just basically to cover processing and analytics, and it creates great benchmarks. So what Jaron put there, cfi.davidafields.com. And if you have questions, send me an email and I'll send you more about it, or send Makhlouli an email because he actually runs the CFI. Also, please make sure that Monday Live is on your calendar so that you can come back and join us because we love seeing you. And finally, what do I have? Subscribe. Yeah. If you don't get the articles every week, that's crazy. Make sure you're subscribed so you get the articles. And with that, thank you so much for joining us. I don't know if it's snowy where you are, but it's snowy here, wherever you are. I hope you have a fabulous week. And I hope you remember that consulting, as Makhlouli has been saying, it's not about you, it's about them. It's about your clients, it's about your prospects. So give them value and give them kindness, and we will see you next week. Take care, all.
Thank you, everybody.